The main street of Tanunda looks pretty much the same as any other country town at 6 o'clock in the morning. There's not much activity. But at the Apex Bakery, there's plenty of action, and there has been for 74 years. What makes this place unique is their original wood-fired oven. It's still fired up and has been burning almost non-stop since the day it was built.
This oven is, I believe, the longest continuous fired wood-fired oven in Australia. It was first lit in 1924, and it's been going ever since. Except for 4 days in 1971, we replaced about 600 bricks.
Brian Fechner is one of the three brothers who run the bakery today. It was built in 1924 by the original baker, Albert Hoffman. In 1948, he sold the bakery to his employee of 24 years, Keith Fechner. His sons bought him out in '82, and the family tradition has continued ever since. Not much has changed since the early days. The fire has to be lit around 5 a.m, 2 hours before the bread goes in. Baking in this oven is an art. There are no electric thermostats, digital timers or fan-force gadgets. When the bread looks right, it's done.
It's tradition that we've kept it.
Yeah.
And because our father wouldn't go to a modern oven in the 60s when I wanted to do something more modern, he wouldn't hear of it.
Right. The man who's seen it all is that young employee who started here in 1924, Keith Fechner, or Chiney as he's known around town. Chiney has worked here since the day it opened, when he was just 12 years old. He's been up before dawn 6 days a week ever since. Are you ever going to retire?
Well, I was going to retire at 70 and then that was a bit young. So I thought, well, I'll retire when I was 80. And that wasn't no good either, so...
So maybe try at 90 then?
90, I reckon. I want to year 2000, I'll have to walk out for sure.
Chiney still shows up every morning to give the boys a hand. Back when Chiney was a lad, he started work at 2 a.m. By 7, the horse and cart was loaded up, and then he'd sell bread on the rounds until about 3:30 in the afternoon. Then after a rest, he was back at 7 that night to mix the next day's bread dough. For Chiney, though, it wasn't all work and no play.
We used to go out to dances and the parties and so on, and get home about 1 o'clock in the morning. And then we had to start work at 2. Well, half full, of course.
Yeah.
And well, who's going to wake us up? Well, lie down on put a bag or two on here and lie down here. And the dough was in there, and when the dough was getting ready, it lifted us up and rolled us over.
Push you into the wall.
And then we'd wake up and start working. It was better than an alarm clock.
Back then, they would bake about 500 high-top loaves of bread a day. Now the more shapely loaves and rolls are in demand. The bread itself, though, is still made using the same recipe as in 1924, as are all the products, favourites for generations. A couple of their Barossa specialties are Bienenstich, cream-filled with a toffee, almond and peanut topping, and German cake, either plain streusel on top or with fresh seasonal fruit added, just for a change. There are plenty of fine foods to sample. And the Apex Bakery is open 6 days a week and is just off the main street in Elizabeth Street at Tanunda.